Hello and welcome in, hockey fans. You have found your way to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. The trade deadline finally arrived. Took all the way until March 21st, but we finally got there, and it did not disappoint. Teams were going nuts all throughout the weekend, all through yesterday's 3 p.m. Eastern Time deadline. So many players getting moved around. We had legends like Claude Giroux, Marc-Andre Fleury. We had team captains getting traded. Players left, right, forward, sideways. Zach has got his list ready. He's got the top 4 moves that he thought are going to help people out. We're going to look over that. We're going to now debate who's sitting pretty atop the NHL, who's getting ready to make a deep run into June and win Lord Stanley's Cup. On the amateur side of things, the Women's Frozen Four tournament wrapped up over the weekend. We will break that down. Talk about all that happened over on the women's side, and also some controversy with a Minnesota men's collegiate hockey team over the weekend. We got to look that up and talk about that a little bit. A goal getting disallowed after the fact and a game starting back up in overtime. All kinds of weirdness going on. And then finally, Justin Bieber is designing hockey sweaters now? Are players going to want to wear these? We'll see what we think about that. All that and more coming up on the Neutral Zone. Buckle it on up. Let's go. And welcome on into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We are going to have a full show in store for you tonight. I am, of course, Adam Karnick, alongside my co-host, Zach Puplis. Lots and lots to be going through on tonight's show. So without any further ado, we do need to, as we do every week, acknowledge our sponsors and also let you know of some things coming up here at IE Sports Radio. Starting with our sponsors, the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. Find them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California_Warriors, Facebook, Southern California Warriors. And IE Sports Radio is available on all the major social media platforms. Twitter at IE Sports Radio, Instagram at IE Sports Radio, Facebook, search IE Sports Radio, or head on over to our website, iesportsradio.com. For the last 7.5 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans. And with your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all 31 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And while you're there, too, you can learn about our different shows, our different hosts, and different events we have going on. For example, the 2022 NFL Draft is right around the corner. IE Sports Radio is excited to announce its 3rd annual Mock Draft Challenge. The rules are simple. no trades, no modifications, no tricks, no capes. The participant who no soup for you. The participant who has the best mock draft will receive a shout out on all of our shows and their choice of an IE Sports Radio hat. If you're like Zach and myself and lacking a little bit of hair, that's an obvious choice. Or you can go with a shirt. For more information or to submit your mock, please reach out to Mike Pat, host of Let's Whine About Sports on Sunday nights, at Let's Whine _IESR, and good luck to you. And March is tournament time. If you can't catch one of the games, we have got you covered across our entire family of networks. USRN, USRN2, Wellington Sports Radio, and IE Sports Radio are all doing live broadcasts of the men's NCAA basketball tournament on the Mixler.com app. Keep up with every game there. Seth and Matthew Owens and Taryn and Larry and Gina, everybody has been doing an excellent job with those calls. Whew! All right. And with that, this show is, of course, available to you on Twitter as well. You can find this show available at IESR Neutral Zone. I am at Adam_Karnick. Zach is at The Pupless. And without any further ado, welcome on into the show. Zach, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good. How are you?
It's been a busy day. It's been a busy couple of days that we've had here with the trade deadline going on and just all kinds of other things. The chat room is already buzzing. We got Taryn and Larry both in there. They're coming up with other no's for the read there. No passing go, no collecting $200. Oh yeah, all kinds of good stuff going on there. Keep them coming. We love just dropping in random quotes and random drops anywhere at all times. It's kind of our brand.
Of course, yeah.
So the trade deadline, we've been talking about how it took forever to get here, and now it has finally come. Was your phone blowing up as much as mine was? I was trying to keep up with all the moves as they were happening. It was just like, you know what? I have to put the phone down now. I shall catch up with this when it's all done in a couple hours.
More so the latter. I found a good article that's been keeping track of all the different trades going on. But it's been madness.
Yes. Oh my good. Yeah. March Madness.
A different form of madness.
Yeah. March Madness. It's not just for basketball. Hockey can get in on it just as well.
Yeah. For sure.
So, obviously, tons of moves being made. Always, sellers are going to sell, buyers are going to buy. We saw plenty of both. What were some of the biggest moves in your estimation now that finally the dust is settled? Well, 90% settled. We still have a move out in Vegas that we're still not sure if that's going to go through or not. We'll figure out. But now that almost everything's done, what were some of the big key moves for you?
Remind me of that later on because I want to touch on that again. The whole Vegas situation.
Oh yeah. We got to talk about
if that's
that.
happened before or not. I'm not sure. I've never heard of that going on, but we can discuss that later. Definitely Fleury from Chicago to Minnesota. That's the biggest one right there. Claude Giroux to the Florida Panthers. That had been bandied about for a couple months now. That that he was probably bound to go somewhere, but now we know his destination will be Florida. And as we talked last week, what do we're hedging our bet by saying that one of the Florida teams is gonna win their division.
Yes. I decided that it was a team from Florida is going to win that division.
Now, well, okay. So now with this trade, does that change your mind at all? Does that push them over the top over Tampa, or are they still kind of neck and neck?
I like the move for Florida. Claude Giroux, I mean, you're talking about a guy that's got 1,000 NHL games. He just celebrated his 1,000th NHL game with Philadelphia. They waited to trade him. He waited he wanted to celebrate his 1,000th game in Philly first, and then it was okay. Now you can ship me off.
Has he been there his entire career?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a lifelong Flyer.
Okay.
I like that move because Florida doesn't have a lot of playoff experience. Giroux brings that to the table. It never hurts to have somebody, even though Giroux's never won it, he's never won the Cup. It's nice having somebody with that playoff experience, with that playoff pedigree, just with that NHL pedigree on a franchise that the Panthers as a franchise don't have a whole lot of playoff experience under their belt. So I like the move for Florida. I don't know if it will be enough to overtake Tampa because Tampa made moves.
Sure, yeah.
Tampa, Brent Hagel from Chicago in a huge deal on Saturday, multiple first-round picks, plus a couple of NHL-ready players went from Tampa to Chicago so that the Lightning Bolts could get Brent Hagel, a young scoring forward in his early 20s, to shore up that, just what Tampa needs, right? More offense, more scoring. We'll just keep throwing the puck at the net. Eventually it's going to go in.
Hang on, is his last name something offense related? Is his last name like Point or something?
No. Hagel.
Oh, sorry.
Hagel. Rhymes with bagel. Yeah, no, they already have Braden Point. They can't have another Braden Point. That would break all kinds of rules. Taryn was asking if the Ducks made any moves. Yes, there was a defensive end that they traded. I had it, and then you asked the question. So while Zach gives us a little bit of kind of reacting there,
Well, we can dig into deeper with Fleury.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of skipped over him, just went straight to Giroux. But Fleury he's been on fire ever since his trade to. I mean, he was kind of in the decline in Pittsburgh, and that's why they opened him up to Vegas at the expansion draft and all that. So ever since he's been in Vegas, it's just been a whole renaissance. And then for them to get rid of him, okay, I understand that there was kind of butting heads between him and Robin Leonard and so on, but he's been great in Chicago this year, and now he'll do the exact same thing in Minnesota. And I was reading more into that, and I think they were getting like a second and a third round pick in return, like Chicago was.
It's a conditional first.
Well, that's I was just gonna say, yeah. So, yeah. I think they said it was a conditional second, and then depending on if Fleury hits these terms with Minnesota, then it becomes a first round pick because he's just that much more valuable.
Yeah, were you able to find what the terms were? I saw the way it turn the microphone here. The way it got presented to me at first when I was seeing it was, it's a conditional first round pick. Then you read it, no, it's a second round pick that could turn into a first. And it was, okay, how does it turn into a first? I could not find the terms.
I got you.
Okay.
I had it pulled up and I closed it.
So you're doing that, and I'm double checking. I know the Ducks. Yes, that's what actually. So Taryn's question can lead into our quick discussion about Vegas. The Anaheim Ducks actually made a move to acquire a player from Vegas. Vegas was trying to make some moves to get under the salary cap. Vegas has very quickly found itself, unfortunately, in salary cap hell. Very quick. I mean, that's what happens when you get good players and then you win and you're able to pay everybody. Unfortunately, you wind up having to pay everybody. And in the NHL, where the salary cap is based primarily on the Canadian dollar, which I'm trying to be nice to our neighbors to the north.
Don't sugarcoat it now.
Is it worth a whole hell of a lot? The NHL salary cap doesn't move very well, so you could very quickly find yourself, we don't have the flexibility. So they're trying to get themselves under the cap, and they were looking to send a player to Anaheim as a defenseman, Evgeny Dadonov. Daddy-o, Evgeny Dadonov. However, the trade's under review. And it's under review due to, this was the part that I wasn't able to find. Oh, it was, Dadonov's got a no trade clause. And so it was a matter of, did they get his permission? Did they hit all of the requirements in time for the trade deadline? And they might have missed it. The NHL's looking it over. The NHL hasn't decided yet. If the NHL decides to rescind the trade, Vegas is in trouble. They're over the cap and will have to make some moves. And they were already in a position where they're in danger of getting passed by a lot of other teams, Minnesota, Colorado, possibly Edmonton coming up on a surge, though Edmonton really didn't do anything to help itself very much at the trade deadline. So if they aren't able to make this move and they're having to cut some pieces, Vegas is really going to be in trouble.
They are 1, 2, 3, 4. They're fourth in the Pacific.
Yeah.
And overall, where does that fit into? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I like Taryn. Salary cap hell, the worst place on earth. The opposite of Disneyland.
Looks like I think they're 8th in the Western Conference as a whole. Vegas is when you put the two divisions together. So
yeah, they're
sitting right on the edge of playoff contention, basically.
They need help. Yeah. And they did not do a whole heck of a lot to help themselves with this.
So you're saying that they're Ralph Wiggum? I'm in danger.
Only not the voice.
Here. So I figured out about Fleury. So the Wild get goalie Marc-Andre Fleury. Blackhawks get a conditional 2022 draft pick. It's a second-round pick, becomes a first-round pick if Minnesota reaches A, the Western Conference Finals, and B, if Fleury accounts for 4 or more wins in the first 2 rounds. There's your stipulations, your conditions.
I like that trade. I already liked the trade because it's doing right by Fleury. I talked about this last night on Chi-Town Weekly a little bit. I did a not angry Blackhawks segment on the show. I know it's like the first one in. God, it was the first non-angry Blackhawks segment in over a year that I've done. Well, they've just done a lot to honk me off the last. There's a reason.
Get off my lawn.
Oh, there's a reason that I've not been kidding around about looking at finding a new fandom for a hockey team. They have done a lot to honk me off. But I was talking about it last night. They did, when Fleury got traded to the Blackhawks at the beginning of the season, Vegas did everything wrong. They did everything behind his back. Fleury.
He found out on Twitter.
Right, he found out on Twitter. He's got a modified no trade clause, so he thought he was safe. They went behind his back, traded him to Chicago. They figured out, hey, we can move him without having to worry about his no trade clause. So they did it. He found it on Twitter. All the wrong things. He talked about retiring even. He had said, I'm happy in Vegas. My family's happy in Vegas. I don't know that we want to leave. I might just hang it up instead of go play for Chicago. That would have been his right. He would have absolutely been within his rights to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
He accepted the trade. He goes to Chicago. He's done everything right. And the Blackhawks in kind did everything right by him. Everything was above board. They said, look, we know you've got a modified no trade clause. We're thinking of moving you because we're just not in a position to win. We're no good right now. Where do you want to go? And Fleury basically told him, well, I want to go to I want to go to a contender, but I want to stay close to here because my family loves it here now. We've really been able to set down roots in Chicago. So basically it was, Minnesota's your option. Are you okay going to Minnesota? Yeah, I'm okay going to Minnesota. And they made it work. So I already loved it for that. Now to hear the conditions on what it'll need to turn into a first-round pick.
You think that bar's too high? You think that bar's set just perfectly or too low?
I love where that bar's set. The second condition there, Fleury needs to account for at least 4 wins in the first 2 rounds. That's happening. Unless he gets hurt, which, okay, that can always happen. That a play you can never rule out the possibility of injury, but
so help the uninformed here.
Sure.
So how does a goalie account for a win? I know, like in terms of baseball, a pitcher gets the win if he pitches more than 7 innings or whatever.
Right.
So how does it work in hockey for a goalie to get the credit for the win?
It's basically the same way. We'll use baseball as the example to set it up. Taryn, start keeping track of score. Taryn, Larry's in the chat there too. Larry, in case you didn't know, Taryn always keeps score of how many other sports that we wind up mixing in besides hockey in the show. So we're at 1.
You take something you understand to try to help you understand something you don't understand.
Exactly, exactly. We have noted. We have. We really do. We talk hockey, but at the same time, we try to have fun with it, and we know that there's a lot of people that we're all learning. And this is a way we help everybody learn. So in baseball, the way you become the winning pitcher, without getting into the weeds, because I know I can do that, I can be a little bit of a rules lawyer. The easy way is you're the pitcher when your team took the lead and you never lost the lead.
Okay.
That's how you win as a pitcher in baseball. It's effectively the same thing as a goalie in hockey. Okay. You've got to be the goalie that was in when your team took the lead for the last time.
Okay.
Gotcha. For him to get 4 wins, basically he needs to start 4 games that Minnesota wins between the first 2 rounds. It takes 4 wins to clear a round. Usually you're only using 1 goalie. No offense, Cam Talbot. Now Taryn's cheating. Larry brought up the Raiders. That doesn't go on our ledger. That goes on Larry's ledger now, Taryn. That doesn't go on us. That's
topics brought up in the chat are not necessarily required to be talked about.
But things brought up in the chat room are at the chat room's discretion, not at ours.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer. Oh man, we're 25 minutes in and we're almost broken. All right, here we go. But yeah, I mean. So sticking with that deal, you've got to win 4 games to clear a round. Yeah. No offense, Cam Talbot, who was the starter for Minnesota. Mr. Talbot, if you're starting multiple games in the playoffs, something's gone wrong. Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, it's not...
Is he the gold standard?
He is. He is. Now, also, admittedly, okay, thank you, Taryn. He put us back down to 1. Don't worry. We'll get to 2 on our own. We've got plenty of time here. We don't need help in that category.
Cam
Talbot, and thank you. Cam Talbot and Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, Fleury is... He's old enough that he might get a spell, like maybe once in a series. He might get a spell. And that's why they probably included it over 2 rounds. Yeah. Just in case. Because Talbot's not a bad goalie by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to try and pull up his stats while we talk here. He's not a bad goalie by any stretch of anybody's imagination. I'm trying to.
Well, when you pull that up, I mean, let's talk about the the first condition in addition. So, Minnesota has made it to the playoffs the last couple years, but have they made it past the first or second round? No. So that one is a bar right there too. That's them getting to the next level, taking the next step, getting that much closer to the cup. And
yeah.
So that makes sense too.
It absolutely does. Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be able to make it to the Western Conference Final,
which to outdo themselves better than where they've been the last couple of years.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's it's funny. A decade ago, the Wild would, they'd make a nice run and they'd make it to the playoffs, and then they'd run into the Blackhawks and just get buzzsawed. I'll never forget in 2013. The Hawks had won the President's Trophy, best team in the regular season. Minnesota was their first draw. It was, oh man, is this thing even going to go to 5 games? It went 5. That's all the deeper the series went. The next go round, the Wild,
no naked run for them.
No, not quite. Not quite. They swept the home games. I mean, Chicago, the games at United Center, Chicago just dominated.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was Minnesota. Minnesota won the one of the first home games, and that was okay. All right, you won a home game. Now it's over. You got your one. Now it's over. The following year, then Minnesota made it to the second round and ran into the Hawks again. It was okay. All right. The Wild were like, yes, we are taking out Chicago, and it got to a point where it was, oh man, hey, Minnesota's actually kind of hanging tough. And then Jonathan Taves was, okay, screw this. I am officially taking over the series now. And just boom, 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 boom. And there it went. So Minnesota did have they've had those kind of problems where they've been a good team and they've kind of just run into a buzzsaw. Yeah. They haven't been able to avoid that as they've been going. But I mean, you look at Talbot's numbers this season, they're not bad. 39 starts. He's 25-12-1. He's got a goals against average of less than 3, 2.84, and he's saving 91% of his shots. He is playing good hockey. But you're not the Flower. You're not Marc-Andre Fleury. So yeah, I love that move and hearing that compensation, because you look at it too. Now, the one way where that could get tricky, if you're Minnesota, and we might need to kind of table this and come back to it at another time, because I'm seeing the time on the clock, and I know we've got other moves that we wanted to talk about, and other than we got to get into the collegiate game. Sure. A little bit here, but just real quick, they would have to get through Colorado to get to the Western Conference Final.
Because the way it's set up, you got divisionals. And they're in the same central division. They're both in the
Central Division, and Minnesota now.
But I mean, those aren't the two best teams right now.
West. Minnesota by no means is out of the. Colorado's winning the Central Division. Yeah, that's mark it down.
Conclusion.
That is happening. That is happening. Minnesota is currently in second place in the Central, but is just 1 point out of being in the wild card round. So, and in that case, they would wind up playing Calgary. They would effectively jump over to the Pacific Division, and then it's, we might not play Colorado until you're in the Western Conference Final. So, TBD.
If they wind up as a wild card.
Yeah, if they wind up as a wild card, they would wind up as wild card 1. They would then effectively move into the Pacific Division and take on the Flames in the first round. Okay. And I like Minnesota in that matchup, frankly. I know the Flames have been good. They were kind of quiet at the trade deadline. They made a couple of moves earlier in the season, but at the deadline itself, they were fairly quiet. They were hot a few weeks ago. We'll see where they are, but right now I like that matchup for Minnesota winding up in the Pacific Division, and for the terms of that deal, that makes it a lot easier too. Their path to the Western Conference Finals is a lot easier if they wind up in the Pacific Division instead of staying in the Central.
Yeah, I mean, looking at their numbers, like they're even with LA, Edmonton, a little bit higher than Vegas. They're what 6 points behind Calgary, but they're 17 points behind Colorado. So Colorado's pretty much wrapped it up.
Yeah, they're nobody in the Central is catching Colorado. Colorado is going to win. Is going to be the best team at the end of the regular season in the West. That's write it down, mark it. That's happening.
But in terms of the wild cards, though, you've got your. Well, I guess they're not necessarily have to be in the same division. Like they set up whoever your top, what is it, 4?
Your top 2.
Top 2, okay. And then the wild cards are chosen afterwards, so they could wind up in the Pacific as opposed to the Central. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit last week. We'll set it back up because it's been a few years since they've had a regular playoffs. Playoffs? God, don't talk to me about playoffs. You're lucky to win a damn game. If you finish in the top 3 in your division, you're in. You are locked in. You make the playoffs.
Okay.
If you finish in the top 3, if you finish outside of the top 3, that's where they take the whole conference, lump them together, and rank them.
Okay.
The top 2 teams make the playoffs as the wild card teams. The better wild card team will take on the lesser of the 2 division winners.
Okay.
You move into that division.
The weaker of the
two. And the weaker wild card team plays the stronger division winner. You move into that division then.
A la the 1 versus the 8. Basically.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And then they stay inside the division. They have you basically do the division semifinal, division final, conference final, cup final is how they stack it from there. So
that part made sense to me. I just wasn't sure like how the wild cards fit into it.
Yeah. So all right, so that was a lot on Marc-Andre Fleury, and he was the best goalie, and he moved, and we all know we've seen it. You and I we've watched enough hockey, and we've talked to enough people that watch hockey. A hot goalie can carry you the whole way through the playoffs. It's not just a round or 2. It can carry you the whole way if you get a goalie that gets hot at just the right time. So it's a huge move for Minnesota to go get the best goalie on the market.
Well, and you said he was the Vezina winner last year. I mean, he's had success wherever he goes. I mean, we would not be doing him justice if we didn't talk as much about it.
Right, exactly. It was the domino that we've been waiting to fall for. I mean, the Blackhawks have been talking about trading him. The Blackhawks have been talking about trading Fleury for a month at least. It was one of the worst kept secrets in hockey. Even back in February, it was, where's Fleury going to go? Where's Fleury going to go? Where's Fleury going to go? To a point where Fleury started on Saturday for the Blackhawks, and the Blackhawks beat writers were, oh my gosh, Marc-Andre Fleury is starting. Holy cow, he's starting. Because you figure you bench him so that he doesn't get hurt if you're trying to trade him. So
worst kept secret just around the Blackhawks, or worst kept secret for the whole entire league? Because it was a surprise to me.
I mean, Blackhawks people knew that they were going to be moving him, and it wasn't a shock that other teams were interested. There were teams calling about him. So, yeah, it was not a shock.
Do you want to run through these last 2?
Yeah, let's hit those last 2.
Okay. Mark Giordano, he got traded from Seattle to Toronto Maple Leafs. I think it's just noteworthy primarily because he was the very first captain for the Kraken, and I know that they're in a selling mode right now. But you're selling off your very first captain to the Well, and it goes back to our article that we were reading about about the whole franchise, and halfway through the season, okay, things aren't really where they want it to be. They're definitely not going to be the next Vegas, going to the Cup final the very first year. But they said, no need to panic, no need to start selling things off right away. Oh, wait.
Wait a minute. Scratch that. Sell things off.
Sell. Jim Cramer. Sell.
Buy. Sell. Right.
Fire sale.
The Kraken just figured out, hey, if it's not bolted down, sell it. If it's not nailed into the walls, it's gone. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you trade your captain... Yeah, when you trade not only your captain, like you said, your first ever captain doesn't even make it the season, and he's gone.
Okay, I guess that was all just lip service, but going back to the beginning, you get nothing, you lose. Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. I mean, it's good for Giordano. He goes from, as you have so aptly put it, the bottom of the Pacific, where apparently the Kraken belong. God, that's a terrible,
fathoms deep.
God, that's a terrible joke. That is a terrible, terrible joke. But he goes from literally the bottom of the Pacific Division. He's going to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Now, how far Toronto goes, that's anybody's guess. They're sitting third in their division. I can never keep track if it's the Atlantic or the Metropolitan. They would be facing Tampa Bay in the first round, as it sits right now. So you need defense if you're Toronto. We're going to be facing Braden Point and Brandon Hagel and all those guys. Yeah, we need defense.
Toronto's in the Atlantic.
Thank you.
They're third right now behind Florida and Tampa Bay. Florida has 90 points. Tampa Bay has 84. Toronto has 83. They're tied with Boston with 83, actually. And in the past, I feel like when in the playoffs, they have two kryptonites. They have Boston, and they have Montreal.
Well, they're not getting Montreal this year. They don't have to worry about them.
Yeah, so you got one of the two out of the way. But, but replace Montreal with Tampa Bay. That's another big threat.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, he's definitely an improvement for him. Jumping up to at least a team that's going to be a contender, that's going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. We have to clarify something for Taryn. He's confused. Was that a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory reference or a Willy Wonka reference? I mean, it's one and the same, tomato, but...
Well, it's Gene Wilder, so clearly Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
The Johnny Depp one's just creepy.
Apparently more faithful to the book, though, I have heard.
I've heard that, too, but, I'm a traditionalist, and I like me some Gene Wilder. Blazing Saddles, Silver Streak,
He wore a blazing saddle. He wore a shiny star. Or Willy Wonka, as we lovingly refer to it, Saw for kids.
Right. There's no way of knowing which way the river's flowing.
Oh man, we can. Oh man, there's a whole show there that we could do on that.
I never thought it was that creepy, but people always talk about that tunnel scene being super creepy, and I'm like, watching it as an adult, I'm like, okay, maybe a little.
Not only that, the tunnel scene, the boat. There wasn't a seat for the kid that wasn't on that got eliminated earlier. There wasn't a seat for that kid. So Wonka knew somebody was getting out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's all kinds of horrible darkness that exists there in the wonderful world of Willy Wonka. Oh yeah. All right. So a lot of NHL trade breakdown.
Last one.
Oh yeah, one more.
Oscar Sundqvist from St. Louis to Detroit. This is just my home cooking pick right here. I've heard his name. He's a decent player, and he's Swedish too. So had to go with that one too.
Let's actually talk about that one for a minute though, because now this is going from St. Louis to Detroit, right?
Yep.
That's an odd move to me because St. Louis that's a selling move.
There was an exchange. So
okay, yeah, break that down a little bit because that one surprised me. St. Louis is Zach is quick getting his notes together here. St. Louis is very much alive. St. Louis actually, literally, while we were talking, leapfrogged Minnesota and is now in second place in the Central. They were
wow.
Their game just wrapped up.
Okay.
So the fun of doing a show live while games are happening. St. Louis is very much alive in the hunt. Now, they're not safe by any stretch, but they're very much alive. Detroit is dead this season. No offense.
Oh, yeah.
Your Red Wings, they're
like
planning
30 points behind Boston.
Right, yeah. I mean, they've got a great-looking future, but for 2022, they are dead. Just stick a fork in them. So explain this move a little bit.
Which one thing I saw on ESPN, it went like possible playoff predictors. It was like the chances of them making the playoffs is like less than 1%.
That's generous.
Instead of magic numbers, it had tragic numbers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, so the Red Wings were sellers. The very first one I saw was the Dallas Stars are going to get Nemestikov, and the Red Wings are going to get a 2024 fourth-round pick. So that's another up-and-comer young player getting traded. So then, okay, here we go. So as part of the Oscar Sundqvist trade, the Red Wings also get Jake Wallman and a 2023 second-round pick. In return, the Blues get Nick Leddy and Luke Witkowski. So, about the only real notable. I mean, I've heard Leddy's name, but I think he's an up and comer more so.
Leddy's a solid. Leddy's a solid player, defenseman. Yeah, solid. That's a solid pick.
Yeah. So Blues get 2 defensemen, and the Red Wings get Oscar Sundqvist, who's a forward, and defenseman Jake Wallman. So I haven't really heard of this Jake Wallman or Luke Witkowski, but
okay.
So you kind of get one notable guy and one less notable guy in both sides of the trade.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it was very strange to see St. Louis sending an NHL-ready player to Detroit.
When they still have a chance.
Right, yeah, exactly. They're very much alive, and Detroit is very much not for this season. So, I don't know.
Maybe it's a team chemistry thing.
Yeah. And also, like we talked about earlier, it could very easily be a cap thing. It could very easily be a cap space move where you need. The NFL has creative accounting in signing bonuses. The NHL has creative accounting in salary dumps, just trading good guys to get the salary off their books. Yep. All right, we need to take a quick break, and then we need to talk some college hockey. We've got the women's Frozen Four, and then some weirdness going on in the state of hockey in Minnesota. This is the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio. We will be right back after this.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pulp culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development, but we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest owners. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
Are you a Minnesota sports fan? If you are, you should join me, AJ, on my Thursday night podcast called Frozen Takes with AJ on IU Sports Radio. I talk about all things Minnesota sports, from the Vikings to Lynx basketball. Every week I talk about the good and the bad of sports in the land of the frozen lakes. Join me Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time for your Minnesota sports show on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. One more segment that Zach and I am Adam Kernick alongside Zach Puplis. One more segment that we're going to do tonight, not quite as long as that first one. As Taryn pointed out, that was a new record for going without a commercial break. That was a lot of fun, though. We got through a lot of information there on that. We want to switch over now from the pro world to the collegiate world. Start off, we've got some congratulations. Congratulations to the Ohio State women's hockey team. First ever national championship in program history. The Buckeyes came in. They were the number one seed in the tournament. They were the highest scoring team in the country, one of the top 5 defensive teams in the country. Took on Minnesota Duluth in the women's title game, won 3-2. Ohio State never trailed. At the same time, Ohio State never led by more than a goal. Very back and forth. Scoreless at the end of the first period. Peyton Levis scored on the power play to put the Buckeyes up 1-0. Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs answered. Naomi Rogie answered just a little bit later in the period, tied the game at 1. Then 1-1 heading into the third period. 24 seconds into the third period, Claire DeGeorge scored. Ohio State's got a 2-1 lead. Less than 2 minutes later, Minnesota Duluth answers. Elizabeth Giguere So you had two fifth-year players scoring back-to-back of each other. We're tied at 2. And then the championship-winning goal went to junior forward Kenzie Hosworth to put Ohio State up 4 good. Ohio State wins the women's Frozen Four 3-2. Congratulations, Ohio State, on a job well done. And congratulations also to Minnesota Duluth. Minnesota Duluth was not even ranked, as if you will, going into the women's Frozen Four. They will rank the top few seeds. Minnesota Duluth had to claw and climb its way into that championship game and got the job done. So congratulations also to Minnesota Duluth for the second place finish, but first ever championship for Ohio State. Congratulations to the Buckeyes. I know we're both Michigan people, so it's a little awkward for us to say congratulations for Ohio State, but we can make an exception.
They're Big Ten. I can go for that.
Yeah. You're way more into the college stuff than I am. I mean, Concordia, Chicago, D3. I mean, if you want to pick on Concordia, Mequon, Wisconsin, sure, I'm here for it. Other than that, college is college. So you get far more wrapped up in the college stuff than I do.
This is true. Okay, so speaking of, on the men's side, the men's tournament's finally here. They made their selections for the 16-team field. Go for the regionals all the way down to the Frozen Four to be held April 7th and 9th at TD Garden in Boston. Top 4 seeds are Michigan, Minnesota State, Denver, and Western Michigan. The Broncos. So
row the boat.
Right. Sky U Mafia and Elite.
I had to sneak that in there. Taryn, feel free to count that one. I'm sorry.
So it starts this weekend. Let's see here. What's today? Yeah, so Thursday, number 1 Minnesota State versus number 4 Harvard at noon. Number 2 North Dakota versus number 3 Notre Dame at 6 p.m. And then that final is going to air on Saturday, either 4 or 6:30 p.m. Then you got a Colorado regional. You got number 2 Minnesota Duluth versus number 3 Michigan Tech. So you got a lot of local teams here: Notre Dame, Michigan, Michigan Tech, Western Michigan. A couple other Big Ten ones. I think Minnesota's in there too. Excuse me. And Notre Dame is Big Ten for hockey. So
right.
Yeah. So there's your third one. So Colorado Regional continued. Number 1 Denver versus number 4 UMass Lowell. And then Pennsylvania hosts a Regional 2. That's where Michigan's at versus number 4 American International. And then number 2 Quinnipiac versus number 3 St. Cloud State. And finally the Massachusetts Regional. Western Michigan, number 1 versus number 4 Northeastern. And number 2 Minnesota versus number 3 UMass. UMass Lowell. So there is a difference between those two. Okay, gotcha. So the regional finals for all those are going to be either on March 26th or March 27th, so over the weekend. And then the Frozen Four will be not until the following weekend, I believe. So, yeah, April 7th and April 9th. So, yeah, all kinds of fun matchups there.
That's during crazy week for the musical I'm doing. You're on your own for keeping up with all that. I will be buried in my music that whole week. Oh man.
Well, seeing as Michigan State lost in the other tournament, I can.
You've got time on your hands.
I got time to keep up with hockey as well. I took some time off to watch the basketball both last week and this upcoming week, so I got nothing but time, it sounds like.
There you go. Yep.
And we can, I don't know, we can dig into some of the teams if you want. It's up to you, whatever we got time for.
Let's just the top 2 teams real quick. We'll get some more into it next week as we get a little closer because the tournament itself starts.
How about this right here? So it starts this Thursday.
Okay, yeah, then definitely let's get in at least a preview into the couple top teams.
Okay, so what first round game and or second round matchup is the most intriguing? One guy says he likes St. Cloud's offense against Quinnipiac's defense. Let's see here. Now, don't get fooled by St. Cloud's record. They play in the National Collegiate Hockey Conference, I think, where basically you're playing a top 15 team every week. So it's like the SEC in football. They can fly. They can go 3 lines deep. They got 4 defensemen who can go. It'll be interesting to see if Quinnipiac can slow down what has become a very good possession, high-flying, freewheeling offense that plays with no fear in St. Cloud. One of these other talking heads says, UMass, the defending champs against Minnesota, is a great test for both teams. Gophers are very deep, play a solid 200-foot game. UMass has continued to improve all season and appears healthy and ready to make a run for a 3rd straight Frozen Four. For a second-round game, the buzz would be huge for a Minnesota, Duluth, and Denver game in Loveland. If that happens, it should be a classic. Maybe it's a rematch of the previous playoff game, or maybe a conference game.
Denver is one of the, as you may have noticed looking through the list, you have a lot of Big Ten and you have a lot of schools on the East Coast. Sure. Denver and North Dakota are about the only schools further west that are any good in hockey. So okay. Denver is a strong program year in and year out. Minnesota is always a strong program year in and year out. So yeah, there's history there. One of our, getting back to an earlier show, we talked about history was one of the great things to create a rivalry. Oh, sure. Constantly playing each other there.
Well, in Denver, I remember they won it just a couple years ago. They won the title.
Yeah.
And let's see, I just was looking up that NCHC to just see what that was earlier today. So I do think, let's see, Minnesota, Duluth, and Denver. Yep, they're conference rivals. So there you go. That's just be like Ohio State and Northwestern meeting up or whatever. Yep. Which teams do you think have a shot of winning it all? One guy says, my mentor, John Davidson, always said, don't make predictions. They just piss coaches off that you have to work with. I will say that I think there are 7 teams that could win it all, and that Denver is absolutely loaded, and to me is the best team headed into this. They have that combination of enough good players and depth, and are playing with a style that could give opponents fits. There's no ego in that group. The other guy says, the tournament's so wide open, so many unknowns, there are probably 10 teams that have a shot to win it all, but he'll narrow it down to the 4 number 1 seeds. Wow, way to go with chalk. Minnesota State, Western Michigan, and Denver, plus Minnesota, Duluth, and Minnesota. Gosh, there's 3 Minnesota schools. Minnesota.
Oh, they love their hockey up there, don't you know?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would say don't.
Land of 10,000 frozen lakes.
Yeah, 10,000 lakes, and they all freeze over. They all got fish and they all got pucks. I would also say don't sleep on Notre Dame. Do not just. I know Notre Dame's not one of the 1 seeds. Sure. They're good. They're good. They might not be strong enough to win it all, but if you overlook them, they will come up and bite you in the butt, and they will beat you.
Yeah. They're 27-11-0. They're an at-large berth. They're number 3 seed in Albany region. They lost to Michigan in the Big Ten semis, but have won 13 of their last 16 in the second half of the regular season, including 8 of their last 9. A stretch that included a win over Minnesota and a weekend sweep of Michigan. Notre Dame is a balanced team, ranking 11th in goals and 6th in goals against average. It's Notre Dame's 6th consecutive NCAA appearance and 13th overall. The Irish have made the Frozen Four 4 times, 08, 11, 17, and 18.
Yeah, I do. Some of it's regional bias. We're in very close proximity to Notre Dame. Don't sleep on the Fighting Irish. If you overlook, if you're one of those 1 seeds and you overlook them, you will lose.
Bet against them at your own risk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we're having some fun with it, but yeah, don't get into a game with Notre Dame and just we can look ahead to the next one. You will get your butt bit. You will lose that game.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on the Irish. They can pull an upset or 2.
Yeah.
So. All right, and then were we able to get any kind of clarification on this Minnesota goals situation?
Okay, I found a controversy they're talking about, but it's from October. Was this something that just happened?
Let me go back, because it was Amanda a couple nights ago had made us aware of it. We'll probably have to.
Well, you look it up. Do you want to care if I talk about Justin Bieber?
God. I couldn't get the headphones off fast enough. There's an equipment malfunction there. I am so sorry, everybody. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Yeah. Go ahead with this story real quick.
Okay. Per ESPN.com today, Toronto Maple Leafs will wear a Justin Bieber designed alternate jersey for their Wednesday game against the New Jersey Devils, which the NHL says is the first reversible sweater ever in North American professional sports. Oh, boy. Right? The jersey created for the Leafs' annual youth-oriented Next Gen game is a collaboration with Bieber, his fashion brand Drew House, and Adidas. Quote, "My love for the Maple Leafs has always been a big part of who I am, and my passion for the team and the passion of millions of fans is stitched into this next-gen sweater," the Canadian singer said in a statement. "I'm grateful to the Leafs for the chance to team up again and to create something so authentic for the team and its fans. The on-ice jersey is primarily black with blue finishes. The crest is the modern Leafs logo with a shibori-inspired tweak. I'm not sure what that is. Tweak to its design, incorporating aspects of Japanese tie-dyeing. That same pattern is found on the sleeves and socks with one innovative Easter egg, the silhouette of the Toronto skyline subtly woven into the bands. The numbers on the jersey are in black. The reversible jersey is also black, but has an entirely new design. The stitching of the Leafs logo creates an outline for a bright yellow maple leaf logo with a Drew House smiley face incorporated into it. I thought that looked like a smiley face. The stripes are flipped to yellow, and the numbers are also reversed. Quote, "The opportunity to collaborate with Justin and Drew House to create such a unique alternate sweater will make it even more special for our fans and the team," end quote, said Brendan Shanahan, Toronto Maple Leafs president and alternate governor.
Say that again?
They called him, well, he's the president of the team, but it says alternate governor.
That's Canadian for captain.
Oh.
We're going to go with that.
Sure, why not? The Next Gen uniform becomes the 15th alternate uniform worn by the Maple Leafs in club history.
And, Zach, Taryn is demanding that you be put in the penalty box. You sang the forbidden song. I wholeheartedly agree, Taryn. I said this last night when I was doing Chi-Town Weekly. It's a good thing there's not a camera watching me while I do the show because man, I get my dad dance moves on. I kind of wish there was a camera on for this. I literally could not get my headphones off fast enough when he started singing. Not that you have a bad singing voice. You have a very nice singing voice. I must compliment you on that. Your choice of song was the problem. Was the only problem with that.
Shows how much I listen to Justin Bieber because that was about the quickest thing I could come up with right on the spot.
It was quick and it was there and oh man. Okay, so I do want to give some props to Amanda, host of Frozen Takes on Saturday afternoons, for bringing this to my attention. She put it into the group chat over the weekend, and I found the story. And this actually does tie in to this actually does tie into our men's Frozen 4 discussion. Minnesota State University Mankato won the CCHA title and got into the national tournament. As a result, they defeated Bemidji State, in-state rival Bemidji State. It was controversial to say the least, though. Josh Grohl for Minnesota State appeared to score the game-winning goal 3 minutes into overtime. The goal got reviewed. Review determined this is a good goal. Game ends. Mavericks win. They win the Mason Cup. Hey, you're going to the Frozen Four tournament. You're making the big dance, the big skate, if you will. The big skate. An hour later, they decided to look at the play again and CCHA said, hold the phone, stop everything. We got it wrong. When the show's done tonight, I will tweet out the link to the video that shows the goal, and you can decide good goal or not. The Mavericks they've already been given the cup. They're in celebration mode. Then they find out, oh, no, hold on. The replay showed Grohl beat the goalie. However, the goalpost moved. The shot goes under and then around the post and into the net. Now, if the post goes off its moorings, the goalie's not responsible for defending a moving target. The goal has to stay put. That's the only fair way to do it. Yeah, it's hard enough to play goalie when it's a stationary goal, impossible when it's a moving target. An hour later, the teams had to get back on the ice, warm back up. A few people stuck around and came back in to watch. They had to resume the game with 16 minutes and 58 seconds left in overtime. That's when the last goal had been scored. That's when time had stopped. Yep, they had stopped the clock with 3 minutes and 2 seconds into overtime. So you're just nope. Okay, we're just picking up from where we left off, and they resumed the game. Now, eventually, Minnesota State still won. Congratulations to Jack McNeely for officially scoring the game-winning goal. But that's got to be one of the most unique tournament situations. We scored a goal. Replay upheld it. Somebody decided an hour later, we need to take another look at this. Hold on. We've changed our minds. Come back, everybody. Come back. You got to get back on the ice and warm up, but the Zamboni's gone home. We've all gone home. Never mind. You got to get back here. We got to finish this up. It's Minnesota. It's too late to be out there fishing.
We'll smooth out the ice by hand.
Yeah, we'll say that again.
We'll smooth out the ice by hand if there's no Zamboni.
It's too early to go fishing, or it's too late. One or the other. You got to get back in here and finish the game. And they finished the game. Now, what seed did Michigan State Mankato wind up with? I know you've got the
Minnesota State.
Yep, Mankato, MSU Mankato. Where did they wind up falling in the tournament?
Are they just Minnesota State?
Probably.
I don't see the word Mankato. I don't think. Minnesota State is a 1 seed in Albany.
So
versus number 4 Harvard.
So an important win, their conference win, and huge for Bemidji State because Bemidji obviously didn't make it. They very possibly could have had things gone the other way.
Minnesota State, here we go. So, and that's like you said Minnesota State. Minnesota State still won even after redoing all this. But can you imagine had they lost? Oh, no, we need to take that trophy away from you so you can pry it from my cold, dead hands,
Oh, yeah.
The Mavericks capped a dominant season by beating Bemidji State to win the CCHA tournament Saturday night. They lead the nation in goal differential by a mile, averaging nearly 3 goals a game, more than their opponents, as they're number 1 in goals, scored 165, and second in goals allowed, 51. Minnesota State has made 4 straight NCAA tournaments and 7 of the last 9. Mavericks have made the Frozen Four for the first time last year, losing to St. Cloud State in the semis. They didn't even mention that in here.
Well, it's a short write-up. You've only got a few sentences, but yeah, that's a crazy, wild finish.
No joke.
So, speaking of wild finishes, we need to sound the horn on our show. Always time for one more pun, isn't there?
I stole that bottom of the Pacific one from ESPN. I stole this one from ESPN.
Oh, okay. You're an equal opportunity. You're very well read, is what that means. You're very well read. All right. Thank you to our sponsors, the Southern California Warriors, for continuing to sponsor this show and all the other shows on the network. A big thank you to Larry for all the hard work you do at the station, keeping everything going, and also for hanging out with us a little bit in the chat room tonight. Thank you to Taryn for hanging out with us in the chat and surviving Zach's singing rendition there. And, well done. And Taryn for keeping score for us. Honestly, we laugh about it, but honestly, it adds a wonderful element to the show. Thank you for doing that. It really is fun. If you can give us a real quick tally, Taryn, it would be well appreciated. Final tally for the night. While Taryn's doing that, thank you guys for continuing to listen, to come in here every week, allow us to have our fun, our banter back and forth. Final score was 3 with a 4th one under review. Hopefully Taryn reviews faster than the CCHA. I'm not coming back in an hour. Or that. Oh yeah, or that. There's still, it's been over 24 hours and they're not done. Next week will be a unique week. We've of course got our show, but it's also crossover week next week at IE Sports Radio. We are going to be doing some crossover talk with the SoCal Saint. So we're going to be having some mix of wrestling and hockey. I don't know about you, Zach. I see that and my mind instantly goes to goalie fights. So lots of fun coming up. Next week's show, you'll get to hear us 2 separate times next week, both at our show and also for the SoCal Saint IE wrestling show that we will be doing on Wednesdays. Until then, I am Adam. He is Zach. Stay out of the penalty box. We'll see you next week.